Well, hello, folks,
The
and
pipes
welcome.
on this
Oh,
guy.
god damn! And welcome to We The Peeps. What is this? It's the American soccer podcast in which you're going to get to know all the things that you need to know about the resurgent, the insurgent.
Not one, not two.
But 6 things that you need to know about the USMNT. I am Clayton, and I'm an artist.
I'm Ty, I'm an entrepreneur.
And we love the Nat.
That we do. That was fun.
Insert here. And insert. The game was USA versus Martinique. You know it, you love it. 'Twas the second of our games in the group stage of the Gold Cup, and we won it. We won it 6-1, folks. 6-1. Not a small amount of goals in this one. And plenty to talk about. Way more fun than last time. Touchdown, baby. No extra point on that, but we'll check in with Matt Turner about what went wrong on the fundamentals of the kick from the spot. Folks, this was a fun one. We're going to talk about it all. As always, please, let's do a little housekeeping. Please reach out to us on Twitter at WTP Pod. Hang out with us. Hang out with us live during the actual games. Turn off your broadcast. Pause your feed for about 30 seconds to 4 minutes to try to get synced up with us. It
depends on your distance, your tube distance from us.
But join us on YouTube's, on your tube. While we watch these games live with you, it's really fun. You can comment, we'll respond live. And realistically, you will see us react to everything that happens in the game a few minutes after it happens, which I think is pretty fun. So try it out. Check us out on there. And then if you are looking for an even more immediate, even more visceral experience of We The Peeps, then go ahead and tune in right after the game to our YouTube stream where you can watch us record. Just hang out with us while we record. You see all the weird shit that goes on behind the scenes.
That's right. YouTube only content. And we tweet out the link usually when I remember. And you can also subscribe. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you get a little boop on your phone when we go live.
That's right.
One click.
And as a matter of fact, I'll say this too. We did a challenge today during our live stream for folks. We made it possible with a secret keyword to join our actual Fubo account. How legal is this? I'm not sure. I have no idea. We're
not selling a seat to our Fubo account. We're just saying if you give us money to our unrelated Patreon, we'll let you
become personal friends with you.
Yes, that's right.
And thus share
a household of Nat's fandom.
Yes. What else for the peeps? Oh yeah, of course, the Patreon. $5 on there, become a ratified peep. It really makes a difference. This show is not free to produce, and we need you guys to help us keep it going. I think that's about it. Ender of housekeeping. Noises. Wow.
Broom noise.
Wow. What a fun game this was.
That was great.
We won. The only way to start out this game recap is, of course, with a starting lineup.
Get out there,
boys. How many gloves for Matt Turner?
They didn't bring any gloves for any of the other keepers. He's here to stay.
There's only 2 gloves in this bitch, and they are both going to Matthew Turner. It's all yours, my guy. The formation here is, I'm going to go with innovative. We had 3 in the back.
I buy innovative.
3
Absolutely.
in the back. Center back of 3, James Sands. Welcome in. Okay, very nice. On the left, it was Miles Robinson. On the right, it was Captain Walker Zimmerman. Ho! All right, baby. You made it. You made it to the big leagues. In the middle, we're going to have what I perceive to be a dual 8 scenario involving Eric Williamson and Gianluca Busio. And then we're going to have a couple players sort of marauding the wings. So are these wing backs? Are they midfielders? We're not sure. But their names are Shaq Moore and George Bello. We're sure of that. We are sure of that much. And then up front, we're going to have Daryl DK in the 9 spot, Matthew Hoppy, because I'm happy. Happiness is the truth. Matthew
Happiness
Hoppy
is the truth.
up
Yes.
front, and then Christian rolled in. That was our starting lineup.
Oh,
folks.
man. Substantially less fun to watch that side of the field. Whichever side of the field Christian rolled in ended up on throughout this one.
There was there was one attempted switch in retrospect. They did the switch, and then Hoppy was like, no, dog. No. I'm coming back over there to play with George Bello. Guys, a lot of goals in this one. 14th minute, Daryl DK, okay, scored his first goal. What I want to focus in on, though, is this 23rd minute goal, okay, the second of our USA goals, which is one of the strangest goals I've ever seen in my life. So what actually happened here? It was a lot of bobbledy, a lot of almost goal scoring from a number of US players. Eventually comes to Daryl DK, who does take a decent rip at this one. It is blocked by the rear end of a Martinique player, and then who then attempts to clear it with a crazy ass scorpion back heel kick.
Wait, was DK involved? I thought it was just off the bar to the Martinique to the scorpion kick.
DK was off the bar from so it was a back heel from Happiness is the Truth to Gianluca Busio, who rips it off of the crossbar, which then bobs out to DK, who does take a shot, which is blocked by a Martinique player who attempts to clear it with this crazy ass scorpion kick thing, which would have been incredible, but then it went in the goal. It was like a Panenka that just like teasingly, drifted into the goal.
If done on purpose anywhere on the field, any other situation, this would have been totally sweet. Unfortunately, wrong place at the wrong time.
But the right place for us. And
DK, for us. It was very enjoyable.
DK celebrated it.
That's right. And that's why DK celebrated. Yeah.
It was indeed an own goal.
And so that was one that DK claimed but did not score. But DK did score two legit ones. The opener, which was a fine header.
Yes.
I think from Busio, right?
It was not from Busio, I don't think. I think it was Bello, but we'd have to look that up. Doesn't matter. It was a cross in. That's why header. DK.
And
power
then
header.
We had a discussion around the 58th minute where we were just saying, while Daryl DK has definitely, had his moments where all he has to do is just smash the ball into the net, he hadn't impressed us with the rest of his game. And then in the 59th minute, Daryl DK popped up with some messy shit, honestly.
It was some messy shit. The first touch, maybe a little bit of fortune in that first touch, but the second and third, Ty, as you aptly pointed out, are just the sweetest of sauce.
Sublime.
The setup for the finish, in the replay you see him do a Usain Bolt tongue out celebration. I don't know what that, anyways, it just looked like he knew he saw the Matrix in that moment, and he just was no longer playing by the rules of humanity. And just perfect finish, right up, just like taps it over the keeper with the inside of his foot. Gorgeous, really gorgeous finish. Amazing goal. And yeah, we both, I think at that moment, had to shut the fuck up for a little while about DK.
Yes, indeed.
God damn, that was tight.
That was
hell.
Yeah, that was genius stuff.
A couple other WTP highlights. Matthew Hoppy megging this motherfucker on a counterattack, just gorgeous as well. And I would say another nice WTP highlight was that, for me, the final assist from Luca Busio to Nicholas Giacchini. Busio, who had a very nice game and was able to cap it off with a beautiful assist. Ty, we're here. We made it to the finish line. It's 1-6, I believe. We're close on goal difference with Canada. What are your first impressions?
The Haiti game was definitely below par. If you think about what you expect from the U.S. national team in a tournament like the Gold Cup, and I wouldn't have said I was shocked by that, given the roster, given the circumstances, and the kind of makeup and level of ambition shown by the federation when it came to how we approach the tournament. But it was a relief to see this team explode like this in the second game, and rightfully put a big number up on a small team. That's something that many talented US teams have failed to do in similar spots in the past,
including this team, like
4 days ago. So when they get criticized when they don't win by enough against certain opponents, and so they should get credit when they pull it off. And I think a lot of these players showed, not just Daryl DK, but a lot of these players showed that we need to shut the fuck up about some of about the level of quality of this roster. I'll give them that. There were lots of very strong moments of technique and interchange, but not going to get carried away. It's above par, but not very far above par. And the real test is going to come on Sunday against Canada, which I believe is, if not a favorite, very, very close to even with the US in the constructions of these particular rosters, and will be one of the biggest tests that we face, no matter how far we go in the tournament.
So what do you think was going on with this tactical situation here? It was one of those, it's a formation we've never seen from Greggy B, from G.
Greggy B.
And it's a formation which
I think we've seen variations of it when I don't know to me it all kind of melted together. There was a lot of, I think there were some specific concepts on display, but it was a little bit hard to tell what was planned and what was just Christian Roldan not knowing the plan and Matthew Hoppe just making decisions and doing whatever the fuck he wanted. So, but from just going off of what we saw, I did like, we were discussing during the game that the challenge with the 3-back when you're expecting to be on the front foot is that all your attacks are short a potential attacking player, because center backs tend to be not very useful at contributing to, building attacking moves. And what we saw a couple times in this game was that the two wide center backs did actually split pretty far and started to even push up themselves in possession. So when the US was in possession, it was kind of like a 1-back. And we had a lot of players participating in circulating possession. That was incisive. The other danger with this formation in this situation is that because you have that extra man, everything kind of gets clustered around the center circle, and you might have 70% possession or 80% possession, but it's essentially just your back three and your midfielders passing the ball around to each other a lot, which is not productive. So I was glad to see the US avoid that. We still continue to not see a whole lot of lumping it up to Daryl DK, which I would understand is a very tempting option. And the US has always been, under Berhalter, committed to playing on the ground, and that is showing through in a new way with this kind of ersatz version of the team, which is very encouraging, because that means that a lot of these players, when they go into that first group, would be prepared to contribute.
What's that word now? You said ersatz?
I did. Bootleg?
Bootleg? I've never heard that in my life. Okay. So for me, the problem here is that there's no midfield three. The midfield three is crucial to the way this actual team plays in its best
Correct.
best version of itself. I'm fine with moving around a back four, having a back three. I'm fine with that. I would even be okay with trying out a, a striker duo. It's fine with me. But to depart from a midfield center three for me is just too far. That's too far. That is the nucleus of what this team is and should be present no matter what else you do around that.
I am inclined to agree. And I think that watching Christian Roldan try to play winger again made me want to scratch my eyes out. And I'm sure, that wasn't lost on the rest of the team and the rest of the stadium.
And I don't think it was lost on whoever had their actual eye scratched out, James Sands.
Yeah, exactly, James. Yeah, he was just so pissed about Roldan's performance.
He had his actual eye scratched.
And whenever Roldan got into like wingerish situations, it tended not to go well either. He had the one move where he like laid a ball off and then hit a nice shot first time, but that was the only positive moment I can really remember. And So anyway, Roldan at winger is a hard no. Hoppy at support striker, I love that. I love Hoppy buzzing around Daryl DK.
And I got to jump in here and say that Matthew Hoppy was the one who got the assist to DK on his first goal.
Okay, yes.
Look that up. So
even better.
Hoppy looked great coming in from the left. Even when he came in from the right, he played in the
playing
front
out of
three.
The back, he was great.
Goal line clearances, all that. In the front three, he played as, like you said, essentially like a second striker. So I saw a lot of Tim Weah in the way that he played that role. There's some Tim Weah DNA there, which I love. I love that. It's an inverted winger, I suppose. What I saw from Matthew Hoppy today that was a little bit of a surprise to me was some body. Boy's got body.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
What happened?
Is it that people in the Bundesliga are bigger? I don't think so.
I think he grew.
I think he actually grew. Yeah. I mean, he's 20, I think. Maybe 21. So that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Or it's the hair.
So we've been sort of on this side quest, we've been forced to allow the Gold Cup to be a little bit of a side quest by the roster choice and etc. We've accepted that. Okay. Our goal here is to find out who can rise to the top, who out of this sort of milieu beneath the surface of the U.S. men's national soccer team is ready to rise to the top and knock on some
ersatz milieu.
This ersatz milieu, this Mers miliersatz. Matthew Hoppy, for one, is looking ready. Come on in, baby boy.
He's on the boat for me now. Daryl DK is he's still borderline, but I think. Would you rather have Sibachu or DK today?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I would rather have DK today.
I would rather have DK today as well.
It's really hard though, and I have to say it's not flattering to DK that Giassi Zardes subs in and scores like a really solid goal.
Totally.
Like 2 minutes.
No, you have to grade on a curve in this kind of situation. Yeah. But I mean, the other thing is like Sargent, is ostensibly the number one, and I don't think he's at any higher level than Hoppy, DK, or Sibachu. So I think it's a big cluster right now for the 9 spot. So I think those players are a lot closer than Miles Robinson is to a starting spot or a roster spot, for instance. Even if their performances are like in relative terms very similar.
Who else? We got to see some George Bello. What'd you think?
Didn't stand out to me. He had a number of moments where he looked awkward. Moving play forward, which is the entire job of that, winger / wing back position. So Shaq Moore looked a lot smoother. And I think, again, in comparison, grading on a curve, you would have to say more, over the 2 games has showed that he can hang. So he's definitely in there. The challenge with Moore and Bello to an extent is just that we actually have ended up with a decent amount of fullbacks all of a sudden. Like Yedlin came back from the dead.
Yep.
Dest happened. Anthony Robinson happened.
Bello was converted to a left back at a time when we had none.
Right.
What could have been?
Exactly.
What could have been if if Bello was coming up right now? Who he'd be developed into a 9
back in 95 when he was breaking into the Atlanta United.
We're gonna have 100 9s coming out of the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. I hope so.
Because everyone's just getting converted to 9s right now.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I wasn't super impressed. But give him time, and I don't think I definitely don't. I would not have anticipated that this would be his moment, given his trajectory. But it's nice for him to have this opportunity with the group and to get integrated. And then I don't think he's one for this cycle, but maybe for next cycle.
Boozy baby, what'd you think?
Busio definitely looked calmer than the last game. I think the last game, the moment definitely was a lot. And he didn't look bad or uncomfortable necessarily, but I didn't think he was as crisp as he can be. And in this game, he looked a lot sharper and more comfortable. So it's what we expected to see coming into this tournament, for him to be composed and dictating the rhythm and being somehow central to the attacking play, and he was. So I think he filled his role really, really well. But the question mark we had in the first game was about his defense, and Haiti put up a lot more of a challenge to pin him back as a 6 or 6-ish 8, and Martinique didn't really do much. So we'll have to see against Canada. I hope he starts. I hope he gets the chance to prove himself in a higher level situation, facing a little bit more pressure, to see if he can actually play 2 ways.
You should have, in a game like this, a few high-profile takes out of the midfield, and he didn't.
You should have, yeah. Who did? I guess, Hoppy, I feel like had one that was like really smooth, and Sands had a couple that were smooth.
Sands had a couple nice takes. How did Eric Williamson have any takes? So you said you were surprised to see Eric Williamson in the position he was in.
I might just be out of the loop with what he's doing with Portland, but I would have thought that in that 3-4-3 situation that Roldan would be a much better fit alongside Busio, and then Williamson could play a winger opposite Hoppy. But I thought in where Williamson was playing, he did pretty well. I didn't think he stood out too much one way or the other. And to be honest, like, I don't know, it's another one of those players where I've just seen Eric Williamson so much at youth team level, then just kind of lost interest, like lost the thought that, maybe this guy's going to go somewhere, like Jonathan Lewis and others. So, sorry, Eric Williamson, I'm sure you're, great guy.
You seem like a great guy. You seem like a great guy. You're just not standing out.
I'm not pumped. So so for me, it's like, how many minutes can we get some of these guys who have a legitimate shot at, really contributing to this cycle and potentially future cycles as well? And George Bello totally fits the bill there, even in a crowded midfield pool.
Yeah, I would give Bello another look.
Oh, sorry. However, I meant to say Busio, not Bello.
Oh, Busio. So Busio fits the bill. There are things that he's doing that no one else is doing.
Totally.
That
he has played. He's done Weston McKennie things. He has been played at striker. He's been played at right back. He's played in midfield. So that bodes very, very well, because you need, we can't just build our team around the flexibility of Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, because if those players get hurt, then all of a sudden you don't have that flexibility and things start to break down, Yeah. But I feel like Busio can do a lot of the things that those guys are doing. Not at their level yet, but that's why he's here, and that's why this is a great springboard.
Yeah, it's interesting with Busio. He's the type of player where he's gonna need to get he's gonna need to outsize his gifts. Like his strengths are gonna need to be above 90. And because he's a young player, they're approaching, the 80s. So his half turn, his quick passing, and his like aerial passing, and his finishing are all he's strong at these things. His offensive movement off the ball very strong. His defense is not never going to be impressive. It's just I don't see it. I don't see that happening, and that can be okay if these other skills are able to get to a point where he is dominant on at the highest level, which he actually could do. This reminds me of who's the guy who went down with the ACL. He's a Mexican American dude. You once referred to him as my spirit animal. He was on the U19 team with Dest.
Oh, are you talking about Richie Ledesma?
Richie Ledesma,
Yeah.
thank you. Similar situation there, right? Like this is a guy who if their talents get to a certain place, he will be sort of undeniable. But until he gets to that place, or if he never gets to that place, and I'm talking about Busio, he'll be a liability.
Yeah, there
So
are
this is-
weaknesses. There are weaknesses there that are unlikely to go away, and so
Yeah.
the strengths have to overcome them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
by the way, is a somewhat, Jackson Yule-ish.
It is.
So,
it
but
is,
but
yeah.
the difference here is that Busio is showing way more skills. It's not
Right,
just the one;
right.
it's many, and he's
Well, yeah, and I don't know if I necessarily agree. Well, what are you saying? You're saying that you don't think that Busio can ever be like a really effective stopper 6?
I am saying that. Yeah, I don't see him turning
Interesting.
into like a tank ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I don't think you need to be a tank to play that position really well and to have a huge impact on the game. So
I think Busio is going to be a home field. He's what do we say? We have the away
he's a home team. Yeah,
Busio's a home
guy.
team guy.
We'll see. We'll see. One thing that'll be interesting is that I think the move to Europe really reveals that with a lot of these players.
Yeah,
and I think the majority of the players who we think of as home teamers primarily are the ones who don't want to leave. The ones who don't feel comfortable living in France, let alone going to Honduras to play a game and getting stuff thrown at you and all that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I think it's likely that he goes over soon. I'm shocked it didn't happen yet, because he's one of those guys with the passport through his parents. So he could have easily gone over at 16, which maybe supports your point. I don't know. I think we need to find out a little bit more about him. But
I don't say home team. I don't say home team as a negative. I just say that as he's not a scrappy player. He's not for scrappy games.
Well, we certainly haven't been able to see that yet. That's definitely true. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think what's this scrappiest possible game here? Probably. I mean, Mexico is always a freaking battle, but
I think
maybe like one of the good Central American teams.
Yeah, or if we face a Jamaica, Qatar.
Yeah, I don't think of Jamaica that way a lot. I don't think they play as aggressively as Honduras plays, or
you're right.
El Salvador,
Honduras.
Costa Rica.
Oh baby, I'm getting psyched now.
Psyched. That's
Are you
exactly
starting to feel it?
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Busio get hit and see how he reacts. And it's well and good to play at home in these kind of soft games. I think he's showed enough to earn a start against Canada, and that goes well. Hopefully he gets to play in some of the higher stakes games to come.
So let's talk about that. We saw a starting lineup versus Haiti that felt very regressive. And then
Correct.
We saw that substituted out for something closer to what we wanted to see. Then we saw a starting lineup today, personnel-wise, that was pretty much what I think we would have asked for.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
And then it got subbed out for the Yuli, and
correct.
Yuli and company came on in. But gotta say, the team looked worse when that happened.
Substantially, yes.
Substantially worse. What do you think is put on your Greg hat for me for a second? Who starts against Canada?
I think the first lineup starts against Canada.
Nice.
If I'm Greg.
Yeah. Really cool. Really cool,
bro.
Stuff. Really cool.
I think he's gonna die on this Christian Roldan, Jackson Ewell hill.
Yikes.
That's just my expectation. So I hope I'm wrong.
Yikes.
I hope I don't know. I certainly think based on the two games, you got to give DK a start, right?
I don't know. That Zardes goal really set us back. That Zardes goal set us back years, like 6 years.
On our Greg progress.
Yeah, I know, man. It was like DK really tried. He really got somewhere by the end of his minutes, and then Zardes just came in and wiped it all away.
Yes.
Scoring one nice goal against Martinique. Okay, so we had a question on the YouTube stream about betting odds for this tournament, which I thought was an interesting question. And if you were a betting man and you saw the Yulee lineup start against Canada, without being able to speak much to what, who's going to start for Canada, maybe we're not totally in tune on all that, but we know Canada's good and we know who they got. So we see Canada versus the Yulee lineup. What odds are you giving the US to win that game?
I think the US team is probably a little bit better on talent. Canada has probably the two best players, which would be Larin and Davies. Though I'm looking at the Haiti match, and I'm wondering if Davies actually made it. So I'm just going to talk through that.
Yeah, I don't think Davies is with us, but I think the other two are.
Okay.
Kyle Larin and what's his face?
I know Jonathan David is not the group.
Oh, was it David who didn't go?
Yeah. Larin.
Let's figure it out. Figuring out this with you guys.
It's so weird. Okay. No Davies. Never mind.
No Davies, no David?
No Davies, no David. But they have Kyle Larin.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say that the way this Canada roster looks is it's not too far below the US, but I think the US probably is just a notch above in pure talent, just looking position by position. And they have a lot of MLS guys. We have a lot of MLS guys. I think our MLS guys are similar in status and success within the league. You could make the comparison with like Larin and DK, or Mark Anthony K and Ewell Roldan, being at similar levels.
Can we just say Ewell Dan from now on?
Ewell Dan, yeah. Combined into one mediocre player. So I think the US team is still, slightly ahead. And then we're also at home. Okay. So I think if it was in Canada, I would think Canada would probably be even at worst. But I think I would still bet on the US to win that one.
All right.
I'm interested to see though it's got to be it has to play in at some point that this is such a like lower like the level of the depth chart that we're at in our team is much further down than is the case for some of these other national teams. So even if the resultant match is rather close, don't you think it will affect Canada to feel like they're playing against a USC team?
I think that it would affect the psychology, the perception of the US team the way that the Canadian national team players perceive us would be affected slightly. The way that the world perceives all this will not be affected at all. No one is aware. No one realizes sort of what you just said, how far this is from our main guys.
Well, and do you buy the concept that these players don't even see it that way?
I do not. Do you mean the US players?
Yeah, because there's this like pervasive narrative from Berhalter, from the press, that it's like, what do you mean B team? These guys are great. There's this sort of reality distortion. And do you think that the players also buy into that?
No.
So they get it.
I think that they get it. I think that I think Miles Robinson, Daryl DK, and Luca Busio are all trying to go to Europe because they are aware what the deal is, what the fucking deal is. I think that I think DK feels like maybe he does have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in terms of like, I am better than Josh Sargent. Like, what are you talking about? That I could see. But like, does Matt Turner think that he's on the same tier as Zach Steffen? I don't think so at all. In fact,
He thinks that less than Twitter.
Yeah, he thinks that less than Twitter. I think he sees himself as someone who could, who has the potential to go there, to push for a starting spot from time to time, to start a couple qualifiers. But I don't think anyone is confused on this team that this is a B team. I think if anything, maybe there's a internal. I'm always speculating about these like internal messages, but maybe there's an internal message that says, you know what, guys, the world is saying you're a B team, and we get that, right? But let's prove them wrong. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell them this is not a B team, and I need you to go on the field and prove that.
Right. I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think people should sort of watch for in this game versus Canada? Because this is the game of the group stage, without a doubt. Haiti, Martinique, those are both such caveated experiences. And although the caveats remain, this game versus Canada is one that feels to me like a game. This is a real game. We've seen this. I'm getting psyched. I'm getting the feels. I've seen goals. I'm starting to understand, this particular iteration of the U.S. national team, what it is, kind of how each player is playing into what this group is. I'm starting to see it, and I'm starting to catch feels about it. And USA versus Canada feels like it has a little bit of substance to it coming up. How do you think people should watch this? What do you think they should be keeping an eye out for?
So, well, what I'm going to be looking for the most from the US team is whether we will actually stick to our principles of the way that Greg wants the team to play. And I often get frustrated by his lineup choices and lots of other things that we complain about ad nauseum. But I do really like that there is a concept. It's evolved a lot, but we've arrived at a concept that we've seen with the first choice group, with these like little interchanges between the different positions and the consistent 4-3-3 and the line breaking passes from the center backs and refusing to the death to boot the ball up to the striker. And I really hope that this group is able to actually execute on that and not give in, because the temptation is definitely going to be there to give in, especially if Canada goes up early, or if the pressure feels like it's on later in the game. And this is the group where I feel the most fear about that, because this is the group that has been at home, and so they're the most MLS-y and perhaps the least likely to adapt to a new model or concept. And I think the most important thing for the program is that from top to bottom, everyone is able to play similarly, so that there's a compatibility, because this is not the real test. This is not the real contest. World Cup qualifying is what it's all about. And so what I'm looking for are players who look ready for World Cup qualifying when they have 9 different teammates.
What if this takes a turn for the competitive? What if
I think it
What if-
will. I think it will. I'm getting shades in this game of the Olympic qualifying group where the last game was Mexico, and the Mexico game, which was irrelevant, was by far the best. It was like the most energy that the US team came out with in the entire tournament, which is understandable. It's Mexico. Also, Greg started, or what's his face? Jason Christ started, I think, 4 Mexican Americans
Jason fucking
in that game.
Christ.
Jesus Christ. And they were like, it looked like they had several Red Bulls before the game. So it was I don't know. In this particular scenario, I wouldn't mind that. Like I kind of, it won't bother me too much if this team, doesn't make the final, doesn't make a deep run in this Gold Cup. What I'm looking to see are performances that give me the sense that this tier of players is as ready as the next tier of players. So I would love for this to take a turn for the competitive, and I hope that the pride of the players gets kind of activated, especially
Absolutely.
with the Canada team clearly feeling like, this is their time, they're in the ascendancy.
Absolutely.
So it's a great opportunity to see our guys get a real test. This is a game that absolutely could be a semifinal. It's a very similar, sort of level match to the final that we played a couple of years ago against Jamaica, two Gold Cups ago, but that was a very competitive game. That
semifinal.
There was a final that Jordan Morris won with a butt goal, or it was either his butt goal or just it was Azarda's butt assist.
The butt
Jordan
assist.
Morris, for the
butt
winner.
Assist. There's winner. More.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is competitive CONCACAF action.
This is real shit. I'm a huge fan of the burgeoning Canada-USA.
Me too. I love it.
I love the USA-Mexico rivalry, but there is so much room, and I love it when there is a rivalry that is kind of only felt by one. So the US has this with Ghana a little bit, like we feel aggrieved by them. Not sure if they notice. And I think there's a little bit of that happening with this Canadian national team where it's like, you guys are all talking about USA versus Mexico and we're fucking right here. And I think I want to see that develop. I don't know what that involves, but it's going to be something sort of extracurricular, like it's a narrative thing happen. Something is going to happen in this game that is going to be, etched into the annals, if you will, not the butt assists, but rather, the records of this rivalry, which is not yet that big of a deal, but certainly has the potential to become a pretty big deal.
That's what it needs.
Rivalry.
That's what it needs, isn't it? It needs a red. It needs like a nasty red.
Exactly.
In the 48th minute.
Exactly. That's what
and
it needs.
that is what will start to define this rivalry, is those moments where you have open conflict and dislike. So
yes,
that's a hope.
Oh, can we get a little Io Akinola action?
I would love for Io Akinola to come in and draw or get the red.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and briefly, Io Akinola represents, this is a former US youth team player who I think grew up mostly in Canada and has played in Toronto FC's academy and now for the first team, and has done really well in MLS and is, getting better all the time. Good player, not quite good enough to be a consistent US national team contributor, but very solid and has a high ceiling, and chose Canada. And this is a part of a broader trend of a lot of, former fishies like Josh Perez, for instance, once of Fiorentina, made one appearance, played 10 minutes for Fiorentina. Now playing in, I think he's still in LA, I forget, but he went to El Salvador to play for his uncle, Hugo Perez. And Alex Roldan as well, and Rubio Rubin, players who are, dual nationals that maybe at one point the US might have been kind of competitive about making sure we got. And you're seeing the US now not really fighting that hard for that tier of player, just because the base of our pyramid of talent is so wide that it's really not going to make a huge difference. And you even saw Efra Alvarez, who would be decidedly in the picture for the US national team, finally commit to Mexico, finally play for Mexico in a competitive match. And, the normally very hot US soccer Twitter sphere barely cared about this, because it's not going to make that big of a difference for this US national team program. So that's new and interesting. And I think it will make the rest of the region better if there is a little bit more competition with the US for some of these players. And I don't think the US is at risk of losing really, really big prospects that we shouldn't lose. But
I think you might rue the day you said that about Efra Alvarez. That one might come back at us. I am a little concerned about that.
Good
but hey,
luck, Efra.
Good luck, Efra. The Julian, what's his name? Julian Gonzalez.
Yeah, I forget. I don't even care.
I also forget. It's a beautiful thing. It was so important at some time.
I've deliberately forgot him.
I've deliberately forgotten all of my ex's names. Okay. My sort of ongoing hope is that, and what it seems to me to be the case is that as we grow, so does the rest of CONCACAF, and this whole thing is one thing that's growing all together. And I think that the footballing world is sleeping on CONCACAF. I think over the next 20 years, we are going to see a very different landscape of from what we have been used to seeing. Europe will be challenged by CONCACAF for supremacy. Mark my motherfucking.
We gotta get CONMEBOL first.
Yeah, I know, but CONMEBOL is on its way down, I think.
I agree.
I'm not trying to be a dick. It's happening, dude. Yeah, we do have to get CONMEBOL first. You're right.
Well, so, Tim Vickery, who is a BBC journalist who covers South America, he has said for years that the biggest threat for South America is not Europe. The biggest threat for South America is North America. And you see this pipeline of players where it used to be that players would come up in South America until they were 21 or 22 and then go over to Europe. And now what you're seeing is that, either they're going straight over to Europe at 16, or the first move is to the US. So your Barcos and your let's face the other dude, Almiron, that kind of player, Pity Martinez. These are all Atlanta United examples. I'm on a wavelength, but there's
other ones too.
This is now a much more standard pipeline, and what that means is that the US is going to slowly continue to, approach and even surpass the level of the South American club leagues. And that might already be the case with Argentina. I don't know if that, maybe the very top Argentine teams would dominate MLS. I don't even think so. I think it's quite close.
Yeah.
So, and Brazil, similar. I think the best Brazil teams would probably be at the top of MLS, but I think there are a lot of MLS teams that would compete totally fine week in, week out in Brazil, in Argentina. So
absolutely.
So that's the balance of power that's shifting. Is it's starting at the club level, and that happens faster because that can just happen because of money, and then that slowly starts to build and percolate, where all of a sudden South America is now an exporter to North America. That totally shifts this whole paradigm, and I think that's where that change will eventually come from.
Not for nothing, when the MLS finally does win a CONCACAF Champions League,
oh God,
they will have done so. They will have done so on their off season. The day we win our first one of those is the day that it becomes abnormal for Mexican club teams to win the CONCACAF Champions League.
Like you're saying, it's going to happen once and then never stop?
Yes. Or rare. It will become rare. It will because the MLS is so up against it in that tournament. And what we see is every year more and more MLS teams are filling out the ranks of, each round and just not getting to or winning the final, When by the time we do win it, it will be because we have 7 out of 8 quarterfinal teams.
Well, they only let in 5 teams, I think. So that'd be hard.
That's what I said.
But
you said 7. I said 5.
The thing with that is that there have been years like that a long time ago as well. So it's not new that MLS has a lot of teams in the latter stages. Just always turns out with the Mexican team winning.
All right.
Doesn't matter how the teams look.
We'll solve that for another day.
Save it for another day.
I'm totally down with sunglasses, but I just have a hard time figuring out when to wear them. There's just not enough opportunities. I feel like it gets dark. I'm always just too late. Oh, are we doing this?
I wear my sunglasses at night.
I wear my sunglasses at night. Ty and I both just put on sunglasses on the YouTube stream. Tune in with us. I really like triple plugs. You got the one plug that you need, and then it just expands into 3 plugs.
Like magic.
Amazing. It's like magic.
If you get a bunch of those, you can have as many plugs as you want.
And I don't pay attention to the utilities as far as I can tell. It's fucking the same.
It's free.
It's free, dog. More plugs. Let's go. And I very much like cutting off my jeans by myself. But man, the success rate is similar to MLS teams in the CONCACAF Champions League. It almost never works out. However, I just don't love any of that stuff. As much as I love these Nats, get psyched for USA Canada, folks.
Let's go, boys.
Ending recording.
All right.
Tight, dude.
Tight.
Hey,
thank you, YouTube. Thank you to the intrepid souls who have made it through this epic adventure of Nats fandom.
Oh yeah.
This was a nice, relaxing sode and an evening.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah. Watch that DK goal all night.
Oh yeah.
Woo! Just way past my bedtime. Yeah, working dad. All right.